Hello, everyone. My name is Celica Thellier, and I am one of the founders of ChooseMyCompany. And I'm truly honored to open the session this afternoon with a question that defines the times. What do youth want? And today we're going to look at what making it means for Gen Z and how schools, institutions of higher learning, and workplaces can build the bridges that lead there. Now, ChooseMyCompany, we're a mission-based startup here in Paris, and our SaaS platform powers large-scale stakeholder listening with a deep expertise in surveys on the relationship with work. But before we dive in, I'd like to propose another little experiment for this afternoon. And we're going to inspire ourselves with the magic number from this year's Women's Forum, 20. So I'm going to take a little risk because we're right after lunch, and I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Everybody with me? And let's take 20 seconds to remember what it felt like to be 20 years old. So maybe you have to remember back. Maybe that's where you are now. We've got some of you in the room. And just get in touch with those images, the words, the feelings, the sensations that come for you. So whatever's happening for you, maybe you're on campus rushing from one class to another, laughing with friends, dreaming about what comes next. Or maybe it's the first day of your first job, or even better, your first paycheck, that incredible feeling of independence. Or maybe you're on a hike, searching for meaning and direction to decide what you're going to do next. Whatever it is for you, you're curious and you're alive, and time doesn't matter because you feel like you're doing something that's called becoming. This is a precious, important, and delicate instant to be cherished and handled with care. And so now, let's open our eyes and let's fast forward to 2025, where today's 20-year-olds, they're living the same quest for meaning on the cusp of adult life, but in their own world with its own uncertainties, its own instabilities, its own victories, and its own anxieties. And yet, they're still looking for solid ground, places to grow, places to learn, places to act, and places to belong. Let's take a closer look. So in education, funding cuts and rising tuition make it harder and harder for schools to accompany students individually. And at work, while AI is taking out the toil, it's also taking entry-level jobs, and hybrid work is eroding social learning, that informal mentoring space that happens when we share an office. And parallel to this, there's a clash of values. Maybe some of you have seen, there's a really interesting study that came out in September from Susie Welch at NYU, where she asked students, over 8,000 students, to rank 16 values versus their personal life, or versus their professional life. What came out on top for students? 3 things: self-care, authenticity, and altruism. She asked the same question to corporate recruiters, and what do you think they said? They said accomplishment, learning, and grit. So we've got a complex cocktail to manage there. Now, so what do students themselves, what do young people themselves have to say about navigating the beginnings of adult life on campus and in the office? And over the last 2 years, nearly 190,000 students, interns, and apprentices across 800 organizations and institutions of higher learning in 50 countries shared what they had to say in our surveys. And so what do they tell us? 73% say that they are satisfied with their student experience, and 81% are pleased with their first professional experiences as interns. Now, in a world where institutions are under fire, Both campuses and offices emerge as surprising bastions of stability for this generation. But if we dig a little bit deeper, so a few other things come out. While on campus, community is working very well. So 8 out of 10 students say that they find a place to grow, to learn, and to belong. 4 out of 10 are disappointed with the guidance that they receive from their career services. When we go to the office, it's the opposite. Individual development is working beautifully, but it's the collective energy of teams that comes up short. So in sum, the strength of one is the weakness of the other, and the message is clear. Young people today, they want more career guidance, and they want to join inspiring organizations. Now, since today we are at the Women's Forum, it is of course de rigueur to go and have a look at what our sisters can tell us. And so to do this, we compared satisfaction between men and women across 4 stages of professional life in the education employment spectrum: studies, internships, first jobs, and established careers. And the results are telling. As you can see, the gap starts early, where women are less confident with the quality of teaching and the professional prospects that are open to them at the end of their studies. And then, in the very first internship experiences, the gap disappears. Now, we're talking about short-term, very structured, and often equal opportunity experiences. And more companies have taken internship and graduate trainee programs and raised them to an art. But then the gap widens rapidly again once women hit the workforce, and the reality of pay and career evolution bring out persistent inequities. And yet women's voice capture the vibe of their entire generation, a generation that desires empowerment and positive experiences all the way along the journey, like we see at the internship stage of the experience. Just imagine if your whole professional life was like that. So what can we do as educators, as leaders, and as employers to support this generation to respond to these aspirations, this next generation of workers, of managers, of artisans, leaders, and entrepreneurs? As transformation starts with culture, I'd like to propose 4 priority areas for action today. So let's start with education. We need to rethink soft skills, and it's something we heard about earlier today. Let's treat interpersonal skills as a real discipline that's practiced with rigor, grounded in curiosity, and with the responsibility to the self to learn how to learn. And let's give it a clear definition. We're talking about critical thinking, prioritizing, project management, pitching, prompting, and active listening. And these aren't nice-to-haves that are just going to happen out there in the field once we have a job. These are now survival skills. Number 2 for schools, let's bridge work and school with career counselors and internship managers working together in real time to bridge learning and practical experience and expectations with concrete opportunities. On the corporate side, 2 zones of action. First of all, tangible markers of modernity in the professional environment. Young people, they don't want perfection. They want organizations that are turned towards what's coming next. That means agile, it means collaborative, technologically intelligent, and they tell us sustainable and respectful of the planet. And finally, personal ecology. This generation, they want to be built to last. And how can we do that? We can do it with physical and psychological safety and transparent financial well-being. So in the end, what does this mean? What does it mean making it for Gen Z? And in 2025, making it, it's not about climbing ladders. For them, it's about building bridges. Bridges from learning to doing, from aspirations to impact, and from today to tomorrow. Today's youth, they're not running after diplomas. They seek experience that will truly make them grow. They want trust and rigor. They want accomplishment and support. They want technology and humanity, but not one at the expense of the other. At ChooseMyCompany, at the heart of our mission is the belief that listening is the foundation of progress, and when employers and education will truly hear what our young people value, meaning, connection, but also efficiency and balance, they will be able to construct experiences that directly connect learning and doing in one continuous journey. And building the world of work tomorrow, it starts today by giving the next generation both the confidence and the courage to build it. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And if you'd like to know more, you can download a one-page summary that we created specially for the Women's Forum today, and I'll be around on the breaks, and I'd love to chat. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, and enjoy the rest of the program.